And welcome back to the Constitutionals podcast. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the premier podcast for the website, cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. Episode 220 of this show. Can you hear me? I now have a full-time job where I have to use this. I don't have to use this microphone. Nor do I have to use the camera, but I choose to. I want to look good and I want to sound good for this job. I want these people to know I'm serious. And I talk to them like this. Speaking of that job, invite to a meeting. Oh boy. 220. Okay. I was just get cat out of the bag. Was working all week. Could not find stories for the life of me. Anyway, so now we're here. But I found some stories I think I'd like. Stories that I know. Actually, two of them were chosen. I would say maybe Monday, and then the three were chosen today. No, two. There's four, and then there's a fifth thing I need to talk about. I don't need to, but I told the people I would, so I might as well. What else is going on? I got that job. Nova is acting out. She's been she wants to play all the time, and I can't. And also, she's a cat, so when you do play with her, she goes, "Okay, I'm done." And then she wants to play again, like 5 minutes later. But she's been acting out. She's currently asleep on my reusable grocery bags. Oh, she looked up. She knew I was talking about her. But she has I have 4 yearbooks, 2 from elementary school, 1 from middle school, and 1 from high school. And she's been chewing on the elementary school ones because they sit on top of the stack, and they're at the bottom of my bookcase over here. And she pulls them off, and she just starts chewing on the corners. And then I just now have I've moved them to the top of the bookcase. But she chews on things because she's nervous and she needs a friend. And, I can only replicate so much. So at some point I will have to get another pet to do that. Okay. But yeah, start a new job. There's a MacBook right behind me that is from the new job. This morning I sat down, I was playing with it a little bit. You get a piece of technology that you don't even own. You've never messed with before. It's a nice MacBook Pro with that little bar up top that you could touch. It's the touch bar, and it's a Core i7 Intel, not M1. I asked about it, and the left speaker doesn't work. It's a very expensive laptop, and the left speaker doesn't work, but it's all good. There's something stuck in my throat, and I really want to just... It's not coming out, and I don't know what it is. Remember when Michael Douglas said he got throat cancer from oral sex? This is a clean show. I didn't say any of the bad words. Hey, let's get to this first story. 3 minutes in. This comes from IGN, written by Matt Kim. Grand Theft Auto, the trilogy, the definitive edition officially announced. Now, look, I do want to mention something, and I've been thinking about this for the past year and change. Basically, the entire pandemic. There was a point where, prior to the pandemic, and this is going to get very serious for a second, but and it's about IGN, and I do like IGN. I do think they're obviously they're the oldest online video game news platform, and they're the biggest. And so I say this with love and grace and care. They had, I don't know, maybe if you looked at all the hosts on their shows, and I should put the microphone in front of my face. If you look at all the hosts on their shows, and if you looked at the type of shows they hosted and the shows they posted on their YouTube channel and on the website and everything, they didn't have a lot of people of color representing, IGN as a whole, and you'd be hard pressed to find somebody on camera who represented the vast variety of gamers that there are. Because there are a lot of people that play Call of Duty, but I'm sure not all of them are five white guys with Napoleon complexes, who will probably end up taking out of school or something. And sorry, it's too far. And so what I'm getting at is IGN, because of the protest, not because of the protest, but I think the protest definitely had a large part of it. And I don't know if I've mentioned this before because it feels like I have, because this is the only place I'd mention it because everybody else doesn't care about what I have to say, except for the 6 people that subscribe. Actually, no, I don't even know who. I don't know how many numbers there are because the Apple changed the way they count subscribers, and my podcast distribution platform has no way of knowing the numbers. I just had to turn down. I was hearing a clicking noise every so often, and I believe it was coming from the iPad, so I just had to turn it down. Anyway, I'm gonna tell you everything I do. So all that being said, so I think it's because of the protests and the killing of people of color, mostly black people, and more in line with Breonna Taylor and George Floyd. I think around that time, IGN started bringing their black employees, and then soon after the Asian employees because of the stuff that was happening in the Asian community, and then basically every other race of employee and to the forefront of their cameras and stuff. I mean, truly, I think that is my theory of what I believe happened there, and I believe Ryan McCaffrey, who heads the Xbox section, very smart guy, and he's very articulate. Not unlike that last couple of seconds where I couldn't find a word to describe him. He's very articulate, and I really do like what he has to say. He's a very smart writer as well. He unlocked the pod. This is when I don't subscribe to video game podcasts anymore. In fact, I have substantially over the course of the past 2 years substantially taken down. I went from 99, I'm down to 39, I think, or 36, 39. Who cares? And the casualty to that was the video game podcast, which is only all of which there are only 4, and they're all from IGN. Anyway, and so he brought in a lot of black people to talk about what happened in the world, which is great. I think that's a wonderful move. We can put down video game discussion for a couple of weeks, and we can bring in. Everybody at IGN has been a really forward-thinking. When there have been, I don't want to say sexual assault cases. When there's been harassment, the people there have been very vocal about it. When the Afghan refugee stuff, just the workers there are very vocal, and I really champion that and appreciate that. That's really great. But it was very noticeable last year when suddenly IGN had a bunch of brown people. And the only reason I noticed that, and I brought it back up because they had a review, I think within the past week or so, that a black woman reviewed one of the games that they had up there, and I don't remember which one. And I will look it up. If you don't think I will look it up. Let's see. Oh, they put so much crap up. I'm never going to be able to find it, but just know that there is they had a black woman review a game, and I was so surprised, and I went, "Whoa, this is so strange to me." I didn't know they had people of color that worked there to review games. I'm not going to be able to find it because, one, they don't even have a review playlist on YouTube. Anyway, black woman reviewed a game. I don't know what game it was. I don't remember. I was just so taken aback. Oh, I just saw they posted a trailer for my job, specifically my job. I'm not gonna say what it is. Oh, she reviewed the Nintendo Switch OLED model. There you go. Yeah, see, it's a black woman's hands. That's crazy. Her name is Taylor Lyles, and they had an editor who's an Asian man, Michael Huynh. So that's lovely. I didn't know. I like it's great to see IGN come out and have these beautiful people of color. Nova wants to say hi. Oh, come here, little baby. Say hello to the world. They love you. If you're watching the video, you're getting a whole thing. If you're not, you're wasting your time. Isn't that right, baby? Oh, you smell great. You smell like me. All right, go away. So, all that being said, that 7-minute deviance from the main story, they have this young woman named Stella Chung. She's working in the video section, and Matt Kim is a writer. So it's great to see all these people of color out there. Rockstar Games. Again, this was about Grand Theft Auto the Trilogy, the Definitive Edition, being announced. Rockstar Games announced that there's been leaks for the past, like, I think a couple weeks that they were going to redo or re-release the Grand Theft Auto trilogy, and now it's going to be GTA 3, Vice City, and San Andreas. Two of them are two of the greatest video games of all time. One of them is definitely one of my favorites, San Andreas, and Vice City is really good. And Auto 3 is their first foray into 3D games. And it's going to be released for the PlayStation systems, the Xbox systems, Nintendo Switch, and PC. Why don't we say that? The PlayStation systems, the Xbox systems, Xbox family. Because basically, if it comes out on Series X and S, it's going to be on Xbox One. And it's going to come later this year. Mobile ports will follow next year. There's going to be across-the-board upgrades with graphical improvements, modern gameplay enhancements. I mean, this is very interesting because they are also re-releasing, doing a complete re-release, or maybe it's an update, but I hope it's an update, not a re-release. But they're also putting out a new GTA 5 for PS5 and Xbox Series X and S. That was widely hated, widely criticized, because I think it's just a graphical enhancement, like, which we don't really need. It looks fine enough, and the game's 8 years old. Just develop a new one. But GTA Online, people play it like crazy. The ReRemasters. That is the title. The ReRemasters. That sounds like a very bad Disney show, Disney movie, made for Disney movie, where it's these kids, their parents. You know, they have The Descendants, which is about the descendants of these fairy tale villains, and then the ReRemasters is the kids are descendants of. It's just a spinoff of Descendants. The kids are the younger versions of their parents who are superheroes, I guess. I don't know. Work it out, Disney. You can have that. There was a story about Bob Chapek I was going to put up here, but I found it to be a little bit too granular and insular for this show. Based on all the stories we've had before. This isn't the first time they've been re-released. They were released, their remakes, not remakes. Basically not remake. They weren't remakes, but they were re-released on mobile before. And then those mobile ports were re-released on PS3, Xbox 360, and they're not good ports. And I hope that these, because they were the mobile versions of those games ported to PS3 and Xbox, so they had bad controls and all the bugs were present, and so hopefully I hope this would alleviate that and just be straight up, you know, if not remasters but re-releases of the PS2 versions of those games. So this is just anniversary celebrations and stuff like that. There's going to be achievements. We already know because Rockstar's PC launcher leaked it. There are logos and stuff, and it was rated in South Korea, so we know this is coming. And we knew this was coming, and then Rockstar just formally announced it. So let's move on to that SNL premiere from last week with Owen Wilson, written by Tony Maglio over at The Wrap. SNL season 47 premiere is lowest rated episode in show's history. And I think before we get into the numbers of this, I believe this comes from after 4 years of having, you know, Trump as president, and moving into Biden, and everybody just kind of, there being a collective sigh. That's a common joke that you've heard the past 8 months, almost a year, 12 months. But now there's like, everybody can just kind of, relax a little bit more. You don't have to worry about Capitol riots or what else? All the other bad stuff that happened under Trump. There's so much I couldn't say. I couldn't say because the show is a clean show. Anyway, so people were watching SNL for the now wants to be canceled Dave Chappelle. He wants to be canceled because all that stuff he said in his new special, which I have not watched, and I probably won't watch because I don't watch stand-up anymore. But except for that time I saw Mulaney live. But yeah, it's yeah. Anyway, and if you watch SNL because you want to see what the host has to say, like, oh, I can't wait to see. I remember Gail King from CBS Mornings, and one of my very close best friends, not her, but somebody else, another person who was a friend. They both of them said, I can't wait to see what Dave Chappelle says this about what Trump did this week. And I just went, no, that's not what we should be looking forward to. SNL is, I don't look forward to it for topical jokes. There was a TikTok sketch they did with Elon Musk, who was the worst host of the modern era of SNL. I do not like Elon Musk, but he has autism. Well, you're supposed to care about him. And in the TikTok, and I think that sketch was very funny because it was so stupid. The TikTok sketch where all the kids are speaking like millennials or something like that, or not millennials, Gen Xers, or whoever's below me, Zers, Gen Zers, whatever. I don't even care anymore. So Saturday's episode drew a .92 rating in the advertiser coveted 18 to 49 demo and 4.9 million total viewers. That's 50% down in the demo and 41% from the show's season 46 premiere that Rock hosted. In comparison, Rock had 8.252 million viewers. The Simpsons, and Simpsons was the only show during the fall premiere week. Wait, what? For what it's worth, Wilson's .92 rating was the second highest number in the key demo for any comedy that aired during the fall. Wow, so The Simpsons did better. So even though SNL did not do well, and The Simpsons did not technically do well either, they still ranked higher than shows like Home Economics and The Goldbergs, which is crazy to hear. Wow. And Bob Hart's Abishola. All those shows I watch. Every show I just named, I watch diligently, and I watch it every single week. Wow. Keegan-Michael Key had similar numbers back in May 15th. That was the previously all-time low. I think people are just, they don't have to pay attention to SNL anymore. Wow. Jeez. For that type of stuff. Same thing for Scarlett Johansson. For that, and by that type of stuff, I should have finished that sentence because I was reading stuff. For that type of stuff is what I mean is people. I guess people really wanted to see what they had to say about Trump and the things that happened that week. And now it's just kind of not. And now you can see all that stuff online, and that's where a lot of the views come from. And that's the thing. Before I get to Scarlett Johansson's, Scarlett Johansson had the previous low record with 4.7 million. So it just kept getting lower and lower. The week prior to Keegan-Michael Key hosting. Anyway, and I think where all that boils down to, I forgot what I was going to say. I truly forgot what I was going to say. I should have just finished it. Oh yeah, you can watch it online. Same thing with, late night shows. It doesn't, that's why I'm at the, I'll give you a little peek into the kitchen, into the cupboard. It's 420, blaze it up guys, Friday. I'm such a loser. It is 420. We got about 20 more seconds. oh, dude, 21 seconds, 420. But I'll give you a little peek into what I'm going to do. Usually I do a big story for the last episode of News Time, the last proper episode of News Time for the year, before I have 3 weeks of nothing. 3 weeks of clips and bloopers and stuff. And it is, and this year's is going to be about the Nielsen rating system, which is a very boring topic compared to like the Movie Pass episode I had, and which is I think one of my favorites because I did a funeral for Movie Pass, and so this week's is going to be about Nielsen because they basically the broadcast networks and even cablers and just basically everybody's sick of Nielsen and the way they count things, and now with the advent of streaming, with bringing on streaming and everything, it's tougher to really gauge how that stuff works. And so companies are thinking of just dropping the Nielsen system entirely or adopting something new along that. It used to be just the Nielsen ratings. That's how you counted your shows. And then now we can watch stuff on YouTube. We can watch stuff on streaming after the fact. We can watch stuff on 2 different platforms. You know, if it's Fox Broadcasting, you can watch it on Tubi and you can watch it on Hulu, or you can watch it live. So that's three. There's ultimately 3 ways you can watch a show like The Masked Singer, which I don't know why you would watch any of that. so it's we used to be Nielsen ratings by itself, and then now people have adopted. But prior to, I would say 2 or 3 years ago, it was Nielsen and then live plus 3-day ratings. So that would be live plus people watching it on their DVRs, people watching it on Hulu, people watching it like if it had an app like HBO Max or excuse me HBO Now, then watching it 3 days later on HBO Now, and that's how you get your ratings. So if it aired on Monday, then by Thursday you'd have a good sense of how many people you actually watched it versus how many people actually watched it live on Monday. And then there's also people talking about it on Twitter and Facebook and online in general, and that's how you know. That's how you count that as well, which is, I think that's just a very bummy system, and that's a good title, very bummy system. I might write that down. Oh god, I just peaked. I gotta turn this thing down, or maybe I should turn myself up because I think that's the problem. I also can't hear myself. I gotta get a monitor at some point. Very bummy problem. We'll call it 22 minutes. All right. It's tough to be your own producer and actor and screenwriter. What? And host and all that. So with that being said, I really don't think that this matters because we're not counting the YouTube stuff, and then they're not gonna people watching it a week later. And then live plus 7 days a thing, and once there's a better, this is not going to affect SNL in any way possible. And Owen Wilson was a great person, and it was a very funny episode. That car sketch was so great. But this week they have Kim Kardashian West rather. I wonder if she's going to change her name. I think they'll get back together. I think they're a good couple. I like them. I like him and Kanye. I just think that it's not my place. It doesn't really matter, but I think they're a good couple. Hey, being very sincere. So, yeah, this in the long run, this doesn't matter, and I think NBC will only pay attention because when they have people like Kim Kardashian, and then next week they'll have Jason Sudeikis. I think it'll only start mattering, once they have these big names and they get. Or no, they get like 2 million viewers and no one's talking about them. Versus now they're getting 4 to 5 million viewers and everything they're still being talked about. And I do like that Lorne Michaels basically said, "Hey, stay until season 50, guys. I just need you to stay until season 50, and they can have a big cast list. Like I see that's." People are talking about that. It's fine. A big cast list is great, versus the original 8 people that were on that first season where everybody was stretched thin and they were all high on coke. you know, or drinking all the time. Like it's you. Have a big cast list. Let these people, let 80 or Kate or Cecily or Keenan be gone for 1 or 2 weeks shooting a movie or shooting a show or something, and then let them come back. That there's too many good people on that show for them to be having to be stressed out and work there and have to have 3 sketches or whatever by Tuesday morning. I have 40 sketches this year alone written down. That's not a joke. I write down sketch ideas all the time. I have nothing to do with them. I think they're good ideas. I think maybe 10 of them are usable. Let's move on to Engadget, written by Jay Fingas. Instagram brings, I don't like that last name. Instagram brings, is it Fingas? It's Fingas. Fingas. Instagram brings IGTV videos out of their silo and into their regular feed. So this is I'm not going to talk about Facebook going down. I'm not talking about the hearing. I'm not talking about that stuff. IGTV was not an experiment. It was launched as a competitor to YouTube, and it does not matter what Facebook says in this. They definitely tried to be the next YouTube. The problem is, unless you were famous or you had a lot of followers, your videos topped out at 15 minutes. And then you also had to download a different app. Or you had to point your video essentially your video lived separately, like your Instagram TV video that was over a minute long lived separately from your regular Instagram feed. And it was so tough. Unless your video was over a minute and 1 second, then no one was really going to see it all the time. And I can tell, and I know that because a lot of stuff that I post via C Plus Comedy's Instagram, if the cold open is over a minute long, then it's a blessing and a curse, because that means that there's some meat to it, and that I have to post a separate thumbnail with it, which is great. I like posting a thumbnail with a video, but not everybody's going to see it. Versus if it's under a minute, then more people are going to see it. So the Facebook brand is merging its long-form IGTV format with the regular videos from your feed, leaving just one format for all Instagram footage. You won't have to distinguish between the two. We've asked Instagram, Fingers writes, if this will lead to longer videos playing directly in your feed, but there will always be a video tab in profiles to explore more content. This is just a great move all the way around. There is a car alarm that has been going off intermittently for the past hour. I can really hear it. The merger could boost uptake for Instagram video. IGTV demand wasn't what Instagram expected, and this update makes the longer video format more accessible, not to mention less confusing. I remember when it launched, I downloaded it immediately, and I thought, okay, this is where I'm going to put some stuff, and it wasn't being adopted as quickly as it should have been. And I don't think a lot of people used it, with the exception of famous people, and whenever somebody who didn't have a blue check mark used it, I did not feel compelled to watch their videos. And in fact, I did not feel compelled to watch the videos at all. And this could help, Fingers writes that, or Fingus, whatever, would, this helps IG compete against, TikTok, who, let's face it, if I get a link to a TikTok video, because I don't have the app, if I get a link to a TikTok video and that thing is over 20 seconds long, I'm clicking out, because I can't pause it. I can't look at it. I'm sure you can do it on the app. I refuse to download it because I'm an adult. Somebody asked me if I had a TikTok. I went, no, because I'm an adult male. There's only one reason I would have a TikTok. And the reasons I can't talk about here. So, so this is a better way for it. People, I think YouTube has such a substantial lead that there can never ever be a competitor. That being said, I did say when Netflix started streaming, this is never going to be a big thing, and that is a very true thing I said. Let's move on. James Hibbard wrote this over at The Hollywood Reporter. Matthew McConaughey's big risk and opportunity if he runs for Texas governor. So McConaughey has been rumored to run for Texas governor. I don't think it'll be Democratic. I think it'll be some type of middle ground, moderate type person. But sources tell The Hollywood Reporter that the actor hasn't been fundraising or gathering a potential staff aside from a few exploratory phone calls. He's 51, and he is from Texas. But I do think that there is, and maybe if he announces a bid at some point, maybe I'll do this for an episode. I thought about this when I got this. Matthew McConaughey, I think that there is an episode of News Time or an episode of the Constitutionals that I could dig deep on and talk about how excuse me, how celebrities have fared in office. There's Reagan. There's three big ones. There's Reagan, and there's Schwarzenegger, and if McConaughey wins, I said three. I should have said two. But if McConaughey wins or even runs, then that he will definitely be a good one. And then we have people like Turner. Turner? Married to Caitlyn Jenner. Oof. Jesus. I was like, all right, let me think back. Is a Kardashian. She's a mom of the Kardashian. She was married to her when she was a man previously. Bruce, Caitlyn. Boom. That's how I did it. And I did it by respecting gender roles. So, and then, talk about people like Caitlyn Jenner and, even people who, like Obama or Bill Clinton, who are kind of now adjacent to that world. And this probably, it probably could be an extension of the Prince Harry and Meghan Markle episode of News Time I did last week. Was that last week? Yeah, Jesus. So July survey by the University of Texas suggested University of Texas, Tyler, Texas, whatever. Suggested 44% of Texans would vote for McConaughey in this hypothetical election versus 35% for the incumbent Abbott, 54% believing that the state was, quote, on the wrong track. When Abbott was compared to Beto O'Rourke, the outcome reverses with the governor, Abbott, incumbent, Republican, garnering 42% with O'Rourke's 37%. Now, McConaughey, I just listened to this interview and quite frankly, I fell asleep during it. But it's not because the interview was boring. It's because I wanted to take a nap. Yes, I do have a new job and I did take a nap today. In the New York Times podcast, he sat down with Kara Swisher on Sway and did talk about how he's, quote, measuring, unquote, getting into the race, but also said he's not interested unless he can affect real change. Oh, and also The Rock. I just thought about The Rock. The Rock said he and Oprah, they both have hinted at doing that. But I think for The Rock, that'd be a little bit further down the line, and I don't think it'll ever happen for Oprah. And who's the young Cynthia Nixon? The young woman, Cynthia Nixon from Sex and the City. She's into New York stuff, New York politics. So there you go. That's a whole episode. I'll write that down at some point. All right. So McConaughey, I was correct. He did brand himself as a centrist. He said the exact words, "I don't talk politics. I talk people." Hey man, that's a good McConaughey. I don't know who this is now, but hey man, it's me, Chong or Cheech. Nope, I lost it. All right, goodbye. He should. Someone with his kind of pool. We've seen it before. It's better if celebrities stay out of it. It's because it's never been, and I guess that would be the theme of the episode of that episode of News Time or the Constitutionals, is that they've never really succeeded. And it's never been. I just dropped something on the ground. And it's never been like a true a true good idea. You know, like Fran Drescher is in charge of SAG right now, and that's kind of as far as that should be. I don't want to see the nanny running for New York State because are they using their star power for that? Are they really going to enact some type of change versus if they can just donate their money to the right places and talk about their beliefs for this political system? Like, I think you should treat people well. I think it'd be better if we did some environmental stuff. Like, is that like, would that be more successful than just like Selena Gomez is the co-star in the Steve Martin short show on Hulu, Only Murders in the Building, and that show is the most popular show on Hulu because she is the star, because her fans are so rabid. So would it not make sense for her, like, if she, like, even if she just did a guest spot in the show, this show would be, the most watched show on Hulu. Versus if she wasn't in the show, then only the people who were already fans of Steve Martin and Martin Short can, like, watch that show. So I guess what it boils down to is, will he do better as somebody who uses that YouTube channel that he just opened up, who uses his platform to go out and say, this is how we should do it, and these are the causes we should help. Like Leonardo DiCaprio he gives money to a bunch of environmental causes, and he produces movies documentaries that talk about helping the environment. And then if he ran for elected council, if he ran for neighborhood council, would that be just as effective? I don't think so. So he has to make a decision soon. The governor candidacy violation has to file no later than December 13th. If McConaughey runs, then everybody's... all eyes are already on Texas for that abortion ban and for all the other dumb crap that comes out of there, with the exception of the Cowboys. Owned by a dumb owner. I'll say it. I do want to go to the stadium, though. And there's Austin, Texas. I forgot about that. And Arlington, where Hank Hill and his family live. So, we'll see. We'll see where that lands for McConaughey, but yeah. And this final bit, this is not an ad. I'm just sharing from my friends who asked me to share this. They asked me to share it a different way, but I don't write news on the site anymore, and I don't write stuff on the site because I don't see point in doing it. And also, it just didn't bring me happiness. As you may have heard in the Kyle Kinane interview. Check it out. But my friends over at Shark Party Media asked me to talk about Jen Kirkman's new podcast. A new podcast. Oh, hello. That's a new podcast. I'm fancy. Jen Kirkman's new podcast, Anxiety Bites. It's over on iHeartRadio. And wherever podcasts can be heard. My friend Jen Kirkman. Now, I say friend because I've spoken to her twice, and that means Chris Gethard is my friend as well. Jen Kirkman, who's a New York Times bestselling author and podcaster, has had lifelong panic and generalized anxiety disorder, which brought her life lessons, humor, and hope. And now she's going to share those all on this new podcast on iHeartRadio. It debuted on October. It debuted October 6th on iHeartRadio and everywhere podcasts can be heard. Said Kirkman, I'm trying to bring attention to normalize and help people by talking about in an honest and even fun way all the types of anxiety, social, political, identity-related, agoraphobia, panic attacks, and situational anxiety by having conversation with all kinds of experts, from neuroscientists and psychiatrists to authors and artists. Kirkman has had her generalized anxiety disorder, panic disorder, and a former phobia of flying since she was 8 years old. None of this was diagnosed, so she didn't get help or even know where to get help until she was 22. Wow. Now, during the pandemic lockdown of 2020, Kirkman sent out anxiety help over email to any fans who asked, teaching relaxation classes on Zoom from the tactics she learned from her own anxiety. She realized in those interactions that her ability to see the sense of humor in having anxiety disorders can actually help people. And then, thus, Anxiety Bites was born. Now, you know Jim Kirkman, she's a very funny person. I like her a lot. I dare say, one of my favorite comedians. That's true. So it's great to see her tackle something that's not strictly a comedy podcast and talk about something that's very close to her. Anxiety Bites, you should definitely subscribe to it. It's co-produced by Dylan Fagan. And again, distributed by iHeart Podcast, but you can find it, iHeart Podcast Network, rather. But you can find it anywhere podcasts are. That includes Amazon, Spotify, Apple, Pocket Casts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, the rest. Check it out. I'm sure it'll be very enlightening and, to the least bit, charming, because that's what she is. Charm Ball. All right, thank you for listening. Thank you for checking this out. If you want to see a video version of the show, head to youtube.com/equalscomedy, where you can see me sitting in a shirt that I wore for a meeting about 30 minutes prior to this. Also on the youtube.com/equalscomedy is our premiere show News Time, where I take a story and I make it a feature and I talk about it. And it's like The Daily Show, except way less funny. This week's episode is about, I just put it out yesterday, Chad. What is it about? Oh my God, don't look it up. Don't look it up. I know what it's about. I just did it. Oh my God. Okay, I gotta look it up. I'm sorry. This is embarrassing. This is embarrassing. IATSE Strike. I did an episode on IATSE Strike, so definitely check it out. It's good. The cold open's not, but the rest of the episode is. You want to see the show on YouTube? What else? Oh, you go to cpluscomedy.com, where you can see me talk to your favorite comedians, such as Elizabeth Alderfer, who I just put out her interview yesterday, and just in time for the premiere of the second season of United States of Al, where she plays Lizzie. And if you don't know that show is about an Afghan refugee comes to America to visit to live with his friend who was also in the war, and it's just everybody's dealing with something, close to the war. And they rewrote the premiere episode, or getting back to civilian life, and they rewrote the premiere episode this season that just aired last night to talk about the Afghan refugee crisis. Check it out. It's a funny show. I laughed at it. She's also on AP Bio. She plays Lynette, which is Glenn Howerton's character's girlfriend on that show. Very funny show. Check it out on Peacock. United States of Al is on CBS. You can. It's also in the feed. It's literally the episode before this. So check it out. Or you just go to the website, search Elizabeth Alderfer. And if you want to see a video version of that, that's also on the youtube.com/cpluscomedy. Instagram and Twitter @cpluscomedy. Me on Instagram and Twitter @ChadBlackWhite. Like us on Facebook. Rate, review, subscribe to this podcast. Tell your friends about it. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate it, and I love you. Bye-bye. Okay. Oh, it's... I forgot I turned it down. I forgot I turned down the thing. All right, here we go. Goodbye. I'm leaving forever.